So I know everyone knows my name, but for the purpose of the recording, my name is Dr. Tran. I'm a clinical psychologist by trade. I have done lots of trainings for both staff in the VA when I used to work there. Um, so I'm going over mindful speech and why that is a benefit. So mindfulness is actually a very easy concept. It's very hard to practice and is nearly impossible to catch when we're unconscious. And speech is so fraught with our unconscious mind, our unconscious needs, culture, right? Habitual ways. So language is very, very vulnerable for us to be unconscious. And it's something that can be very reactionary. Actually, most of our speech is very reactionary. So I am going to go over the concepts again. We're going to do some very quick practices that will help us actually. What I'm trying to catch is, can I catch it when I'm not mindful, right? Because when we are mindful, we know what we need to do. So all those tricks, I'm going to have a couple tricks to help us really bring it to mind to be present and make the choice of how we speak. Um, there are some things, there's some research in this training that has not been replicated. So in the field, if things are not replicated, they're not real. If so, but what I like about it is it helps me be mindful because I'm a very visual human being. So this is just another trick to help us be more present or to catch it when we are not. So one of the objectives will be to really recognize how speech can impact other people in both positive and negative ways, to learn how to speak in a more mindful and helpful way, and to increase our ability to communicate in a respectful manner, and again, decrease our amount of reactionary speech, which is quite often. Um, so act as if what you do makes a difference because it does. We are social beings, so we are primed to be impacted by each other. So just by entering a room, we can change the room. And then when we speak, we can impact even more. I was fully aware my husband is very mindful and quiet, and he gets off work before I do. So I come in at 6. He's off since 4. I come in at 6 and I'm barging in full of energy. And it really hit me like almost like this shock to the system. He didn't say anything, he didn't do anything because he's not reactive, but I just recognized that the room was quiet until I entered. And I'm not a quiet human being by nature. I try. It's a work in progress. So another thing to keep in mind, so we all want to become more aware, but also understand anything we go over here, it's a practice. We're not seeking perfection because it's not possible, right? We're going to be mindless quite often. But the more we can increase mindfulness in how we interact with the world, the better the world will be. So it has a huge impact. So when we think about mindful speech, what we're talking about is being aware of what we say, why we say it, and how it impacts ourselves and others. Because guess what? Speech is not only when it comes out in your mouth, right? We have the self talk that is also very detrimental. If we can catch what is going on up here, sometimes it's easier to be able to modulate what comes out of our mouth. So, another part of mindful speech is creating the space and the chance to evaluate your speech before you say anything. So, we're talking about filter. In our frontal cortex, we have the capacity to create a space and a filter. Like instead of what shows up comes out, then we have an increased likelihood to affect people in a way that we do not want Um, Again, mindful speech is the opposite of reactionary speech or mindless speech. So, why would that be beneficial? Why do we do this? Provides awareness which deviate the mind from the negative habitual thought and speech patterns that often can be not useful. Have you ever had, I know I have that often, I call the vomit, right? Like I'm not gonna say this, I'm not gonna say this, I'm gonna let it go, I'm gonna be kind, and then the person shows up that I'm having a conflict of whoa, right? Like there's this thing coming out and I'm watching myself because I'm mindful enough to watch, but not sometimes mindful enough to catch and stop. But it's like there's this vomit and I'm like, I talk to myself for 2 hours not to say that. Or sometimes in the middle of a conversation, I know I have the tendency of liking to create impact, and sometimes that's not a good thing. I like to be very theatrical, and then I catch myself saying things in such an elaborate way, but not in a good way. Have you ever caught yourself doing that? Like you saying things that you're not intending to say, and they're just coming out, right? Like what? I thought I prepared for this, right? So the preparation was a great intention, but it wasn't effective, right? So hopefully we could create some tools with the intention of having a more mindful speech pattern um, that will prevent us so we can have less vomit experiences. So participating in gossip and speaking negatively about yourself and others prevents you from experiencing real joy and happiness. So gossip is a very common thing. There's not probably very few human beings on earth that don't do it. There's a reason why we gossip, and we're going to go over those later here. So, again, we don't want to feel like the evil villain because we're gossiping, but we want to be aware that it's not only impacting other people, is impacting the person you're talking about, even if they're not in the room, and it impacts you negatively. And we're going to go over those things in our slide here in a bit. Then the amount of time that we spend in negative speech, again, also self-talk, and also things that are coming out of our mouth, prevents you from using the energy for beneficial purposes. So, like you being drained um, by the efforts that we go into complaining or gossiping, being negative towards ourselves. So there's a book, Four Agreements by Ruiz, and he has those four things. And it's very, very simple, so it shouldn't even be in a slide. But we struggle as human beings to be the people that we want to be. So we have to put simple things on books. Be impeccable with your words. Don't make assumptions. We even have that joke, right? What if you're making assumptions? What you're doing that for yourself? Always do your best, and don't take anything personal. When I look at the last one, when I think about one of the primary things that impacts my speech, often we say very hurtful things to people that we love the most and other people because we're taking things personal. So it sounds simple, um, but it really requires incredible awareness to know how I'm taking things personal, why I'm taking that way, and do I have a choice of taking that in a different way? And if we could do that, our speech will follow as well. Any thoughts about those things? Has anyone read the Four Agreements? It's a little book, really powerful little book. Any thoughts about this, or any about your experience with those four things? Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mhm. Yes. Incongruent. Yeah. All those little ones watching and catching every frame. Mm. Mm-hmm. Or even how we talk to our kids, what we say to them, like. But I like the analogy showed up when you said that. So if I were to ask you to close your eyes and describe this room, and Paul has been hours and hours in this room, we would miss, like most people, when they do that exercise, most people miss 80% of the room, even if it's their own house. Okay. Because our awareness is limited. But if I were to take a picture, the picture captures everything, right? So kids are like pictures, and we are like our mind. We're only catching 20, 10 to 20% of what's going on. But the kids have a little camera, and they're catching our behavior way more than we can catch theirs, actually. So, yeah, if just for that, right, for the modeling. All right. So, any thoughts or any questions or any comments at all so far? Oh, so sometimes in the beginning, when we're trying to be more mindful and understand that part, we cannot do it in the moment, but we can reflect. So if we get, and this is one of the skills I'm going to go over, we wake up in the morning and set an intention to attend and notice how things are impacting me. And then at night you reflect, oh, how did the day go? What affected me? Anytime you have a strong emotion, you're taking something personal. Outside a lion trying to eat you, because there will be a normal reaction. But if a lion is not trying to eat you and you're not being robbed at gunpoint, if you're having a strong reaction, you're taking something personal. So we use emotions as a cue to help us know, oh, why did I feel that way? What was said to me? Oh, this is impacting me this way. Because we all have a belief system that those things feed into. Um, so often we have three or four core beliefs about ourselves that makes us very sensitive to certain things. And there's like 30 kind of triggers or maybe hundreds of triggers that will activate these three or four core beliefs that are negative. So for me, if I believe that everyone has to like me, otherwise I can't breathe, which is mine. Like I am a goody two shoes and I like people liking me. So when I think everything I do is to attain that, so when someone doesn't like me, I ruminate. Like, oh man, what did I do? Why are they upset with me? And then I can't let go. It's really hard. So I can, oh, I'm taking this personal. They could just be having a bad day. It doesn't, even if it has the meaning that I'm thinking it has, why does it matter? Right? Like, so you can start working at not being as activated. And then when less activation, you take less things less personal. But it's very good to learn about ourselves because we all have a bunch of those. Great, great question. Anything else before I move on? So, no matter what, simply do your best and you will avoid self judgment, self abuse, and regret. I have a motto. I try to live my life so I don't have regret later. I don't. I don't really favor regrets, uh, even though you can learn a lot from it. But I try to live so I don't have to try to undo the past because it's impossible. Um, no matter what, I really need to convey, no matter who you are, who you think about yourself, because sometimes when we think, I'm not powerful, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, we think we can't impact other people. No matter what you believe about yourself, you are impacting other people, which means you have power. If you can impact people negatively, you can impact them positively. Or the practice of mindfulness of leaving no trace. Can I come in and out with minimal disruption as possible? And that is particularly applicable for the school, right? For parents, for conscious collaborators. Um, as we enter, can I have the least amount of waves or ripples by my presence here? And then be kind to yourself. This practice is really hard. I've been practicing for, oh my gosh, 20 years. And I don't think I have moved an inch, even though when I look back, yes, I moved quite a bit because I was a whore before. Um, so, so this is the research that has not been replicated. There's a lot of controversy um, into the field, but it really gives me a visual. When I think about this, I am way more mindful about how I interact with other human beings. And if we think about the little ones, we have even more impact. Before we go into this, I want to ask you, you, if you're not comfortable, you don't need to answer aloud. You can answer in your head or answer aloud if you are comfortable. I want you to think when you were young, that one word that was said to you, one thing that was said to you in a negative way, that still is right there. When I ask that, there's a memory. Most people have 3 or 4 memories of, yes, my parents yelled at me, or they, my father called me stupid, or like there's a particular memory that we go to that is right there. You all have that, yeah, right. And when I think about, so I am a food addict. I love eating, and I don't mind disclosing that. I'm a good cook, but my whole life I plan vacations around food. That's how bad it is, right? And when I think about why besides my Brazilian culture, why am I so focused on food? Because you were asking, how do we catch those taking things personal? I was 7 or 8, not involved with my father at all. Hadn't seen him in 3 years. I'm in my aunt's house, and I said I was starving because, again, I exaggerate. I was starving. So she had 3 boys. She never had a girl. So she prepared me a plate, like a soup bowl full of food, right? Of course, I'm tiny. I take 3 bites and I say I'm full. At that moment, my father walked in. Again, I hadn't seen him in 3 years. He walked in and said, "You have to eat everything." That's it. That's all he said to me. He didn't say hello, nothing. And that is the moment I have to clean my plate every time. To impact me, I'm 55 years old today. One sentence. He probably doesn't even remember that. You see what I'm saying? One sentence. So, any of you want to share that impactful words that you have received that you still is right there? And it's okay if you don't. Mhm. Mm. Right? Yeah. So powerful. And then it guides us, right? Now you're a teacher. Not a coincidence. Anybody else? Right. Yes. And there's so much built in there. Even though they said it mindlessly, probably doesn't even remember what he said, right? But for you, there's just something that is carrying in there. And then we start putting more stuff. right, to join that. So words extremely, extremely powerful. Hmm. Yes, right there, right? We have those buttons, they're created by words, and we have millions of buttons that people can press so easily. And sometimes we press them, right? So thanks for sharing because that's really, really powerful. Those real examples, anyone can identify with that. We all can identify with that. So this is a research done, and it has a little book called Messages on the in the Water, and this is by Dr. Emoto. He wanted to see. Oh, things are messed up a little, but he wanted to see. I can't see the words. Okay, I'm gonna have to go with it. But so called Messages in the Water, and there's a river in Japan that is very polluted, and he wanted to see how the water molecules were impacted by the pollution. So that's how this started. So he got the water that's clean and got the polluted water and froze it and looked under the microscope and took those pictures. So this is how the water molecules are bonding. Um, and then he said, what else? So there was a great difference between the dirty water and the clean water. And he goes, so the more clean, the more symmetrical and the more harmonious the molecules are. And those have words, and I don't remember which ones, but one says, I think this one is I hate you, and the other one is I love you. So he got water in bottles, and then he went into a school and asked people to say those things to that water every day. And then he froze that water and took those pictures. Um, so one is I hate you, I love you. The next one is um, I think this first one is exposed to heavy metal music, which has a lot of powerful negative words. And the other one is adult. No, that's the next one. I don't remember what the second one is. The This one is Adolf Hitler and then Mother Teresa. You're just saying Hitler and Mother Teresa to each water. Um, and one is thank you, and the other one is again I love you. So those have not been replicated again, but I like to think that I am moving people's water and make them beautiful. So it helps me really try. When I have that in mind, I am way more mindful. But there's one research by Dr. Emoto that's been replicated, and we can do that in the school. So the next one, and a lot of people, this is easy. You can do it at home. He cooked rice and put it in sealed containers that was sterilized. And then again, he took it to schools and kept it for 30 days, put one in each corner. Lights and everything else were similar in the room, temperature. And he asked the kids to say, you fool means you stupid, like in Japanese, the translation. So one is you stupid, and the other one is thank you. And then after 30 days, of course, I wouldn't eat either rice. They would both run, obviously. But look at the difference in how the rice decayed. So that has been replicated multiple times by people like you and I, and you can do it at home. So you pick up the bottle and say it with intention. And this is what happens to the rice. Any thoughts about this? Mm-hmm. Yes. It's how much is transmitted. Like there was a because we are social beings, we are supposed to impact each other, like I said. But the other thing they talked about, we're always exchanging chemistry. So if I am well and I am calm, I'm sharing the serotonin and dopamine, right? Or I can be sharing my adrenaline. I can be sharing other chemicals that can make you more activated. Because for a survival reason, that makes sense, right? Like, so if the front man and caveman is going hunting, right? And he gets scared and nobody picks up the signal, everybody's going to get eaten. He gets scared, he gets eaten, everyone else runs for the hills and they survive. So there's a reason why we have to impact each other. But nowadays, we don't have lions trying to eat us and we're still transmitting things in a negative way or not in a helpful way. Um, so, what are some other thoughts about what I showed you, both the water research and the rice? Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Hmm. I can impact people by walking in the room. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And also we have the size differential. We have the lack of experience differential. Like, for example, you're 6 something, right? If you were to be angry with a child, even if you said nothing, right? Like, how scary would that be? We forget. Like, have you ever had this experience when you had a different home, childhood wise, and you remember the house being huge, and then you go back and like, oh, it's so little, right? Wow, when you were little, is that's how big it felt, right? Like, but we're always doing that. We're always interacting in a way, and we forget both body mass, mind, chemistry, right? Like all those things that we bring into, and then we say something, right? Your school's not good enough. You're doing okay because you're homeschool. What? Right? Like forever be part of a self concept that I don't measure up. It's just so impactful. And then we do that to ourselves. We're only talking about other people. But then in our mind, if we watch our mind, no way, I would say 80, 80% of what I process my mind or what I say to myself to another human being, right? But then I'm impacting me. Then I'm creating belief systems. Then I'm taking things personal. Then I'm reacting and causing harm anyways. So it's important that we apply this for outside and inside as well, right? Mm-hmm. Or change your belief system that you believe that, like what we've been said, you believe that. How do we change that belief that is no longer serving you? You know, and I think the fascinating thing about the rice research is So we are 60 to 80% water, depends on what time of the day or what we ate. But so 65% is a good number that we water. And rice is like 60% water when it's cooked. Um, so that's why I thought it was, oh, there's a correlation here, white rice, right? Like, so what am I doing to other people's water? What am I doing to my own water? And do I want that, right? How do I want to navigate the world and make the world as spirit and as beautiful as possible? So I here are some examples of mindless speech. I know that's pretty tiny, but negative self-talk. We do that a lot. Um, I don't remember who researched and who counted and who done it, but I read it somewhere a long time ago that we have on average 60,000 thoughts a day, awake time, assuming that you're sleeping for 8 hours. 60,000 thoughts a day. And according to Jung, 98% of those thoughts are negative, unproductive, ruminative, right, and self deprecating. So, if that is true, and we only conscious of our thoughts 98% of the time, what are those thoughts doing to us as we navigate in the world? So, it's important to recognize that, especially for conscious collaborators, there's something always at play. Even if you don't catch it, there's something always at play. The only way to not replicate that outside me or even impact myself in that way is to maintain that awareness and to try to maintain that awareness. So, criticism, again, our mind is a judging machine, it will show up, but we don't have to just take it in and believe it. We don't have to verbalize it. We can catch it, we can negotiate it, we can evaluate it, and then come out with something that approximates reality as much as possible. Cursing, I am guilty as charged because I didn't curse at all until I started working with my veterans. And I knew I could build rapport in 3 minutes if I popped the F word. Oh, my veterans loved it. Like, if they were on guard, I would curse and use their curse words. They loved me, like immediate build rapport. The problem is not so easy to walk yourself back, right? Like, so when I do presentations and for impact, I use very inflammatory words. Um, and I'm trying to work on that. Gossiping, again, I am very guilty of charge. I was talking to Paul 2 days ago or like yesterday morning. Um, Speaking while others are speaking. I interrupted him like 25 times in 30 minutes. I'm like, man, we need to practice some more. So it was really good for this moment. Speaking without awareness of the environment, like if you ever caught yourself saying something and then somebody that you didn't want to witness there was in the room right behind you, right? Like, or a little one, right? It was right there. Oh, oops. Speaking without listening. So again, speaking when we are pausing or not saying anything, just with the intent of reply or to my turn, right? My turn to speak. Um, Often leads to speaking without listening. I like when people, like we all have different characteristics. Some of us are a little sadistic and they will say mean things and go, I'm just joking. Well, you already said it. So, or teasing, right? If the other person is not having fun with you, then it's not just teasing, right? There's an impact. And remember, we don't know people's stories. If I were to sit here and hear your stories, we all gone through a lot. So we have a lot of those channels by which we get hurt. So it's very easy to activate one of those channels. And we never know people's stories. One time the most favored benign meditation I ever taught is the mountain meditation. It's the safest one I found when I'm working with people that have had a lot of trauma. So I done groups, and I always try to find something very neutral to practice because so many things can be triggers. And one time I started doing the mountain meditation again, 100% of experience of years and years and years, safe, and everyone did well. And then this person was visibly impacted, and I paused if I was able to catch it, and she had been raped in a mountain. So the mountain meditation wasn't safe for her, right? Like, so again, my intention wasn't to trigger her, was to empower her, to get her to be strong. Uh, but see, we don't know people's stories, and things can be very, very specific by which we get triggered by. So why do we gossip? I'm gonna go back. I want some ideas. Why do we think gossiping is such a universal thing across cultures? Yes. Right. So sharing information about negative events that this person has done can be protective. So it could be an evolutionary survival technique. Really good. I can see that. What else? Right. And everyone likes it. What? Tell me. Tell me. Yes. Absolutely. It's very, we think is very connective, right? It gives us something to talk about in that moment. Hmm. Yeah. My mom loves gossiping, and often she has all the juice in the family. I don't keep in touch with some of our unsavory characters in my family. But my mom says, "Oh, do you want to know?" Because she knows I try not to gossip. She goes, "Do you want to know about what so and so did?" Say no, say no. It doesn't matter. Yes. Oh, one more failure. I gotta work harder. But we all kind of fall prey to it, right? So here is one reason we gossip is lack of awareness. We really do not know what that is doing to ourselves and other people. If we did, we would restrict it a little bit. The other reason is to distance ourselves from our problems or others. So if I talk about Mary being bad, and that was just a random name, Mary, John, and Paul, that's how. You two have perfect names. So if Mary does something and I'm saying, oh, can you believe what Mary did? But I'm a saint. I am perfect. I'm lovable. But Mary is not. So I can pretend I don't have anything wrong with me. Sometimes it's simply to fill time, to feel important, to be cool, right? Like, I know something and I'm popular. Somebody wants this information from me, right? Um, Also, is a reflection of how we view ourselves. Often, and this ties also to the first initial question, Grace. Often, what triggers me is some something that I feel is wrong with me that triggers me is what I'm gonna notice on others. So things that I talk about other people are often issues that I have myself. And again, if they have a worse case than me, then I'm okay, right? Like so. Um, so in the topic of a gossip, in the focus of a gossip, we tend to have a pattern. That means something about yourself that you do not like, and then you're projecting into other people. Lack of anything else to offer in a conversation. It's so easy to talk bad about people. We have that information readily available, and we don't feel we have anything else to offer. Um, I did in the beginning of my practice and meditation. Uh, one practice is you don't never speak even good things about someone that is not in the room or that you're not willing to say to their face, right? So I try to do that, to try to eliminate my gossiping because I was really bad before. And I had to do that for a whole week. And the first 3 days, I was devastated. Like, I couldn't say anything because I was just gossiping before. I didn't have anything to offer. So I stayed quiet. And then after 3 days, because it was really, really painful, trust me, it was extremely painful to have nothing to offer. I started then sharing of myself instead of gossiping about other people. Guess what I discovered? Guess what I thought about today? Then I started sharing real experiences for me. And then when I did that with someone else, instead of gossiping, they would share of themselves. So there was actually true connection, right? Because we really got to know each other versus just talking about a third party. But you're right, it's a failed attempt to connect when we're gossiping. There's way better ways to do that. And then out of habit. So the reason this is important, not only in general for our practice, but it's important for the school, is the tendency is if we're gonna have 15 kids, the tendency will be, and this is gonna grow, I know. So next year 25, and then after that 35, right? Like possibly. So we will have kids that we favor. We have kids that feel more comfortable, and there will be kids that won't feel as comfortable. There will be kids that will be reflecting our faults to ourselves, and we want to be really impatient. So we want that feeling to get out. One way to project it out is to gossip. So then we can get with another collaborator. Guess what Johnny did yesterday? Oh man, I was so bad. Da, 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 right? Like then we just created a culture that is divisive and unsafe for both them and ourselves. Because guess what? Johnny's gonna know that you don't like, right? And then this just shares. It kind of avalanches. So how do we create change? We want to talk about how can we change how we talk to each other. Again, practicing not gossiping for a week or not talking about anyone that is not present, because then we can switch to positive things about other people and still not focus on ourselves. So, not talking to someone about anyone that is not in the room can really help you redirect how you talk. How do we get more control over our speech? How can we focus on promoting health and well being when we talk? Thinking that I have power, no matter how I view myself. Dr. Trent told me I have power, so that must be true because I'm that powerful, right? So if I have power, how do I want to use that power in my speech? Um, how can we improve the way we communicate and change a habitual talk? So often, a simple one is taking a breath before you say anything. Just a breath, an intentional breath. You're going to notice the air coming in, notice the air coming out. There is a practice to create space. Often we're not going to do that in the middle of a speech. It's going to be really odd. But we can create this practice at night or in the morning, create space. And I can show you what the space meditation looks like. It is a way to go, okay, things are coming in. How am I feeling about it? How do I want to respond? One quick trick, this is easy. The more you practice, the more powerful it becomes. Imagine someone that you admire standing next to you all times when you're talking. But it has to be someone profound. And if you're Christian, I would ask you to bring Jesus. If Jesus was right next to you or God, how would you speak differently? Because you wouldn't say 80% of the stuff you say if Jesus was right next to you, if you're Christian. And if you're not, you have someone that you admire, that you respect profoundly, that you want to be like. That's the human being you bring next to you. So really making the commitment on not talking about others unless it's going to enhance our environment. So if I am to share how Paul impacted me positively yesterday, I'm enhancing the environment. How I have grown, how I have changed, how I got enhanced in some way. That is a way that we share things that help other people. So if you don't have an admired figure, you're not Christian, I also recommend that imagine the person you're going to talk about in there with you. How would you say things differently? If they were present, and I want to talk about Mary, imagine Mary right next to me, and then I can speak. So again, if you're going to say it in front of her, it's okay to say behind her. So those are all different ways by which we can improve the intentional speech, our mindfulness in the moment. So for mindfulness, the color of mindfulness is blue, kind of like a medium blue. Do you know those rubber bands, those big ones that have sayings in it, that you can buy? So if you have something in your hands, because I talk with my hands, it makes it, I actually had a ring, but I forgot. It helps me. Oh, I got to be present. So any clues or what would Jesus do bracelets or mindfulness bracelets or rings or something that is very visual. If you're a visual human being, you can have that to go, oh, okay, I got to speak nicely. Also imagining how would I feel if what I'm going to say somebody's saying to me before I talk. Often we are really trying to get our needs met or we manipulating when we talk. Again, manipulation gets a bad rap, but we often try to get a need met when we speak. So find out what that is. Is there other ways to get your needs met? Why am I saying what I say? What is my intention? What do I want to create when I open my mouth? How many of you are actual visuals? Like, I often have to visualize to comprehend things better. Yeah, most people tend to be pretty visual. Some are more auditory. Um, so for me, I always think of two buckets in front of me. So whatever I'm saying, I'm either I'm putting on a positive bucket or enhancing the world, or I'm diminishing or taking away. So I have two buckets in my mind. And often the bucket that is negative is overflowing. I need to balance it out a little. Just like your memories, remember words can hurt. And bruises actually heal much faster than words. Words stay with us forever like a bad penny. Any thoughts, comments, concerns, complaints? Hmm. Hmm. Yes. Right. Yeah, because it's really hard to catch when we are unconscious, right? How do I know what I'm thinking when I'm asleep? And often we are asleep with our eyes open, right, all day long. Yeah. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I think to that point, it's often easy to view things in black and white,
Mm-hmm.
be a challenge or a problem. But in this case, these reminders that simplify it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, right? Anybody's capable of having one of these reminders or
Mm-hmm.
tips. Just kind of do that throughout the day.
Yeah. And it's a practice, right? Like you get something that works for you, it will work. It will help you. I was aware. So I have a sinus infection. So I have back drainage, and I have a need to drink my tea. So I have this mic, right here. So being very aware of not hitting the mic, being aware because I'm a slurper. I had a client that was really had a hard time with slurping, and I'm like, Dr. Tran, can you please stop drinking your tea in my sessions? I'm like, oh, I'm being mindless even though I'm in therapy. So how bad could that be? But right. But when I think of the mic, it's helping me drink my tea more mindfully. Even though the mic is not there to do that, the purpose is to conduct sound. But it's helping me drink my tea more mindfully. And then we'll see how many slurps we have on the video. So anything is a help, it's an aid. And if we use with that intention, it can really help us grow and change. Again, speech is very hard to change. Uh, so thinking of compassion meditation, there's several types out there. The other thing is if you're going to have difficult conversations or you're going to encounter someone that triggers you, that often you take things personal with, you can plan your communication with kindness for yourself and have the intention, pause before you speak so we don't keep recycling negativity. Something really novel, try being present while you're speaking. Isn't that novel? Like, can you be there before you talk? Uh, and again, what technique is going to help you do that? Everyone is different. Everyone have things that work best for them. Committing to 1 and 2 second pause before responding in any conversation. Like, so then it will stop this immediate, my thing is interrupting. But wait to have a response when the other person is done speaking. If I'm going to pause 1 and 2 seconds, it's going to give you a little more space before you say anything. Khan has gone over active listening quite a bit. That helps with speech. If you're actively listening, your speech will naturally be more mindful. Often thinking before any interaction. So I'm going to this training, or I am coming to volunteer and be with the kids for 2 hours. How do you want to be as a human being when you walk in that space? And then after you walk out, reflect. Because at times you're going to promptly forget your intention and be more habitual in your interaction. But if you reflect and say, oh, okay, I intended to be a certain way 5 times today, and I was able only to do it one. What else do I need that will help me? So if you reflect afterwards, not with beating yourself up because that doesn't help anyone, but really gently, oh, just objectively, how did I interact and what do I want to continue to improve on? How can I maximize that? How are we on time, Paul? Because I don't know how much time it was allocated. I want to be mindful of people's lives.
Yeah, I can check in with the group.
Okay.
We've been an hour.
Mm-hmm. Um, okay. So if we want, we can do some of these practices. Um, which one would you like to go over? We can do the space meditation. We can do compassion meditation, or we can do any other that you think would be helpful.
You have maybe a longer example and then a real quick example. You can give us one of each.
Okay. Okay.
Like the active listening, I feel like that could be pretty quick.
Yeah, that can be a minute.
Good example. And then compassion meditation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of curious about all of them. So
Okay. So let's do active listening one really quick because that's about a minute or two. We can do that pretty quickly. And then we can discuss that in process. And then we can do a little bit of a space one because that's more unusual. The compassion you can get tons on internet on your own. What do you think? Is that okay? All right. So I'm going to ask you if you're comfortable. Close your eyes. And what we're going to try to do, we're going to try to listen to as many sounds as we can at the same time. Again, there's going to be only 1 or 2 minutes. Your mind's going to want to jump from one sound to the other. The goal here is to keep multiple sounds into your awareness. That's the training part. So, starting now, we're not going to prevent sounds. We're going to let sounds arise, and we're going to attend to as many as we can at the same time. Starting now. Your mind gets distracted by thought, just go back to what you hear. All kinds of sounds are populating your mind. Take one deep breath and gently bring your attention back to the room. So, were you able to attend to more than one sound at once? What is it that you could hear
I hear my fan on the computer and then
at the same time? Little mindfulness voice reminders. Yes. And my mind got curious and it tried to go with. I said, no, just go back to the sounds. What is that beeping?
yeah, that was another thing. I was just like, how my mind was that label everything and then
Mhm.
create a story for it.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Oh, kind of like,
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. And did you notice your mind trying to follow whatever was a new sound and forget about the old, things that are in the background often we habituate. So that's the trick. It's like, okay, I can hear the car and I still hear the fan at the same time, right? Because your mind went, oh, that's not important. What is that new sound of that beeping? Yes. Yes, that's the tricky part, right? Yes, that's why the practice is trying to maintain awareness of old and new at the same time. Yeah, the mind wants to shift to whatever. Um, One important question, which wasn't part of the exercise, but I want to go back to that moment that you were able to maintain awareness of two or more sounds at once. That moment that you are keenly aware, oh, my mind is trying to forget this and just want to. That is mindfulness, right? You're attending, you're noticing what's going on in your mind. What were you feeling? Did you notice any emotions? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody felt anything or more anxious? Yeah. Okay. Through the whole thing, or only when you were trying to attend more?
Um, only when we were trying to attend.
Okay.
When I
So
was
often,
trying to find, sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
when I was trying to find multiple sounds,
Mm-hmm.
because at first there was only the like fan
Yeah.
and the air conditioning, which I thought was the same sound.
Okay. Oh, I don't have a second one too. So often, whenever I do an exercise, 10 to 20% of the room will get more anxious because it goes to performance. Oh, what if I don't, I can hear multiple? Everyone else did it, but I didn't. So the belief system was in the forefront versus just the exercise. There's no punishment if you can't hear more than one sound at once, right? But it comes that performance anxiety that often plagues us as human beings, right? So as you keep practicing, you'll be able to let go of that and actually just attend, right? But it's common for it to happen. All right. So often when we are more mindful, there's no negative emotions. There's just openness, curiosity, or we're just peaceful, right? Like that's why meditation creates peacefulness, is because when we are attending to the moment and we can let go of all the unconscious belief systems, needs, urges, fear, when we're able to let go of that, all there is just being. And that's what that's supposed to feel like. And often we're not in that state. Okay, so space one is a different kind of one. I am going to guide you through the space meditation. Now, that is much longer exercise. I am cutting down for the purpose. It's a 30-minute meditation that we're doing in 5. Okay. But again, all kinds of things are going to show up for you. It doesn't matter. You just visualize, notice what shows up, both in your mind and feeling wise, and continue the exercise. Now, this is harder if you can't visualize. Some people are not very visual. Um, so just do it anyways. Uh, so I want you to, if you're comfortable, you close your eyes. If you cannot, that's okay. I want you to imagine. Oh, first, put your hands together and your thumbs touching like this, if you can. So thumbs touching. We're going to start with awareness, and you close your eyes. I want you to see your thumbs in your mind. And I want you to notice the air all around and from top to bottom, circulating your thumbs. All the space, awareness of the space between, around your thumbs, on top of it, and in the bottom. Now I want to bring your attention to the spaces between the ridges in your thumb as they touch each other. There's space and air in it. Now I want you to envision your thumbs being gone in the space they're occupying right now. Now I need you to imagine the space circulating all around you, around your head, in your front of your body, between your feet and the floor, between your back and the chin. There's space all around. Now I need you to see the space between you and this entire room. Just notice all the space between you and this room, between the ceiling and the floor, and all the walls. Now I need you to bring attention to your mind, the space between this room and all the other rooms in this house, including top floor and basement, underneath the ground. Almost like a blueprint of this house. All that space between this room and all the other rooms. Now we're gonna fly into space a little, up in the sky. I want you to see this house and the space between this house and all the entire neighborhood, all the other houses around, all that space. A bird's eye view. Now you're gonna go further up, and I want you to envision this house and the entire Sheridan County as you're looking from outer space. You're gonna go a little further up, and you're gonna see Sheridan and the space between Sheridan and the entire state of Wyoming. The little box from outer space. Now you're gonna go further up, and you're gonna see the space between Wyoming and the entire United States. And you further up, and now you can see the entire Earth and all the space around it of this blue ball in space. With each breath, feeling more space, both outside of you and inside of you. Take one deep breath, and with intention, return your attention to the room. Open your eyes. What was that like? What showed up?
I had some difficulty visualizing it when it got like from the house out a
Out?
little bit, but then was able to keep it going. But it felt, the connection, myself, and then everything else around the
Mm-hmm.
connection.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Yeah. How about you guys? What was that like? Oh,
So
so
it's
it's
like
like
almost
almost
like
like
a
a
map
map
and
and
it's
it's
highlighted
highlighted
in
in
blue.
blue.
Yeah. So like
Oh,
a blue ball, blue light, like going around and illuminating that area to
Oh,
focus
like
on
there's a
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Fascinating.
fascinating.
Did
Did
you
you
know
know
you
you
did
did
that?
that?
I do because I've meditated before and like taking a breath and imagining it as a light. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, that
that
is
is
excellent.
excellent.
Anybody
Anybody
else
else
want
want
to
to
share?
share?
Especially with the thumbs, like imagining the space between the thumbs, it
Yeah,
almost felt like um, tingling.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like you could feel like the air almost tickling the
Hmm.
tip of the thumbs.
So it's
Like
like
kind
kind
of
of
experiential
experiential
visualization,
visualization,
like
like
you're
you're
Yeah.
actually
actually
experiencing.
experiencing. The first time I did that, somebody did that to me when they said, "Imagine your thumbs," and the thumbs disappeared, and it freaked me out. Like it was boom, gone out of my visual. I'm like, I was like,
Going
it
back
was
to
so
your toddler days.
exciting. I was like, oh, gone. Yeah, that freaked. Yeah, you know what was that? Yes, right. And it was like I was losing it. But what was that like for you? Yes. Yes. Right. But you were really aware of that because the anxiety is always there. But now it's like the meditation is highlighting the anxiety. So I'm making it any worse. It's just now you're much more present to it. And that's part of the process. So good. Did you see your anxiety go up and down or was it pretty constant throughout the exercise? Okay. So were you able to recognize when it was lower? Right. So when you were able to attend, there was less anxiety. And the other thing is, and I don't know if you do that, I hold my breath a lot and that creates anxiety. So there's a breathing problem, not necessarily medical, but like I tend to
Like they'll just
hold.
stop.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I got to be mindful to even breathe more consistently, especially when there's performance showing up. So, okay. So the purpose of this creates spatial awareness, but also it creates a sense of space. So when you're feeling a little like, oh, performance is just killing me, right? Like, all this is too much, too many kids are screaming at once, whatever. You can do that for 5 minutes in your mind and create that space by which you can maintain your composure and feel different when the space is impacting you in a negative way, right? Um, Me and Jay we were in Denver and they had a hot tub in the basement, which is a great idea. The pool in the hot tub, so it doesn't leak. I thought it was genius because most are in the top or in the middle, as I thought. But there was no windows, and the sound was carrying. And we had a father with two kids, small kids, and they're screaming from the top of their lungs, right? So we were trying to relax on the hot tub, and it was like the sounds was encroaching. And often I'm pretty good with sounds, but because it was bouncing off all this concrete, it was like penetrate. I could feel the sound just violating my body. That's what it felt like. And Jay was like, right. So we tried to talk and relax. And then recognizing at one point, this is causing me harm. And how do I deal with that for myself, right? Like, how do I take a break? So mindfulness can be attending to what my needs are and taking care of them instead of ignoring them, or finding ways to not be impacted and or to be present and welcome the sound. So there's multiple ways you can be mindful and choose to relate to the moment and thinking about those options for you as you are facilitating the experience in this environment. Yeah. All right. Other questions, concerns, complaints, comments? You're welcome.